What's up, everybody? Wait, leave me hanging there?
Yep.
Well, thank you. That's I appreciate that. Um, so everybody, first live stream that we're doing. Gonna try a little something a little different. We have got a guest tonight. So hope everybody enjoys this, and yeah, we'll get started. So without further ado, got Forgotten USA on.
How's everybody doing?
What's going on?
How are
How's it
you?
going? Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Being a
Looking
guinea
forward to
pig.
this for a while.
I know it feels like forever that I've been talking about this, and like literally 2 days ago, I'm like, shit, it's Monday, and had nothing. I had all these ideas of building this studio out, doing all kinds of stuff, and realized like Friday night that I hadn't done anything yet. Um, Hence
It
why I
snuck up
still
for sure.
I, well, I'm even still using the normal intro, and I wanted to do like build out an actual intro for this, and yeah, just never got the chance to do it. And I was like, well, we're gonna do this now.
I'll tell you what though, I was saying to myself as that intro was playing, I kind of like it. It goes well.
I think this is like the third or fourth one that I've done, and usually by the end of the season, I'm always like, man, you know what? I think it's time for a new intro, and this one's kind of sticking with me, so I'm just kind of staying with it.
Looks good to me, man. Yeah.
So I know we've talked quite a bit, but
Yeah.
Jess, who's on the live stream here, my sister, we started the channel. She's being quiet for some reason today, and that's not like her.
Huh.
I don't know. I got nothing yet. I'm just enjoying the outside, the fresh air.
At a loss for words. Nature took your breath away, huh?
So, one of the things that when Jess and I were talking earlier today, that's really kind of exciting is, I mean, you've got stuff from all over the place. We really haven't ever left the tri-state area, but you've definitely you've seen some interesting places.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I like to pride myself on is that I'm very fortunate to be able to have traveled to the places around the country that I've been. And that's kind of what I want my brand to be, Forgotten USA, literally USA everywhere, whether it be from San Diego to Maine to Alaska, anywhere is really in play. And that's really what I want. I want my brand to be synonymous with that. Really, I pop up wherever I can get to, and I'm fortunate thus far to be able to have done that.
No, that's really like I think back and farthest we've gone west is Ohio, and when I say Ohio, I mean you could basically still spit in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So we
So like
really
that
did.
Wheeling area, right? Wheeling,
Right,
West
right. I mean,
Virginia. Yeah. There's
it,
a lot of cool stuff there, actually.
so we crossed the border, but by crossing the border, that's not saying a whole lot. But no, um, I'd love to get out. It's just, it's finding the time to really travel, and it's crazy right now with price of gas and everything. So it's tough traveling
It is.
far distances right now. But
I mean,
hopefully that'll change here soon.
I hope so. I mean, that's a whole other topic of discussion, but I mean, I got an offer to go out to school in Oklahoma, right? And so, at first I was kind of like, I don't know, do I really need to go that far? The rational side of me started kicking in. And then I said to myself, this is the perfect opportunity to go see a different part of the country, live in a different part of the country, see what it has to offer, and just immerse myself in it. And that's what I've been able to do. I've almost been able to use it as a home base to go from there, shoot down to Texas. I made a recent trip to Nebraska last month in May, and I was able to see some cool stuff there. I actually ran into the world's largest ball of twine. Interestingly enough, I was driving down some back road in Kansas. It was Cawker City, Kansas, and I look to my right and I see world's largest ball of twine with a whole crowd outside of it, and this like underwhelming town in Kansas. It was the last thing I expected to see, so I went there. I actually shot a video. I still have to edit it and post it, but it's the last thing I would have expected. And just cool things like that, like while on a road trip, they're so cool, and I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there is stuff everywhere. And I think that's one of the interesting things, that I think that you do is, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, what we all look at as an abandoned place. Like you'll pretty much whatever you see that's interesting. Welcome back. I see you
Yeah.
fell off there for a second.
The country didn't like the internet, but
Yeah, I know. I know. But yeah, so you'll do all kinds of stuff, and I think that's great. Like I think a lot of times I know myself, and we tend to just kind of really focus on the abandoned places, but being an explorer, there's all kinds of things to explore, and it doesn't always have to be um, abandoned. There's tons of things to see, and I think that's really great.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Jason. Yeah, and like I was saying before, it makes me happy to hear that that's the impression someone gets of my channel, because that's exactly the impression that I want to leave on people, and that's exactly what I'm trying to ingrain into my brand, Forgotten USA, right? The word forgotten, absolutely, it could mean something abandoned, because most abandoned things are forgotten, but it could also be something interesting, like a cool little spot, like that cave I ran into on the side of the mountain when I was hiking down there, and near Lawton, Oklahoma. It was just a random cave. I was like, oh, well, cool, interesting, and certainly forgotten. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an abandoned building, or you know something that was once occupied. It could be even a spot that was
Right.
once, or anything historical, right? The the motto of my whole brand is, documenting the USA's most forgotten, historic, and interesting locations. So that could be a whole number of different things, not anything necessarily that was just abandoned. So anything forgotten, historic, or just generally interesting. And I think that covers most of my personal interests and my goals for my brand in this channel.
No, and you're definitely doing a great job, and um, apparently we're also having some technical difficulties this evening. Um, so,
Yeah. If
so
it's me, let me know, and
no,
I'll
no.
refresh and do what I got to do.
What was I never so my to get this all set up, like I said, this was all the spur of the moment. Um, to get this all set up, I ended up having to put my laptop on the floor, so I can't reply to comments. So
Have we been
it
getting comments yet? I don't know.
it should be if you. I don't know if you see the same screen that we see,
It says
but
private chat and comments on the right side.
yeah, if you click on comments, you can see some stuff popping, a couple of little things popping in. But I guess apparently maybe only I can respond to them because I
Oh,
started the stream. I don't know.
I think that's what I was reading. Yeah, but
comment bar back for me to respond.
Uh,
so
so
who's
yeah,
Facebook user? Is that you, Jess?
No, so I guess if somebody's not signed up for the StreamYard, it just comes
Got
up
it.
as user. Like if they're watching it on Facebook or if they're watching it on YouTube, it doesn't come up as who they are.
Got it.
I did
Well,
see
hello,
that
Facebook
somewhere.
user. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Appreciate it.
Whoever you are, thank you.
Yeah, and don't think I won't see or reply to your comments. If you comment, I'll definitely reply. I'll make it a point for sure.
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple of things that need to be ironed out for the next one. Um, like letting people know a little bit more ahead of time too. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like a day before, and I was like, I should probably post
Mhm.
something about this. So I posted something to my Facebook earlier today, and I posted to my community on YouTube yesterday. But I probably should have made like an Instagram post, but
yeah, I just
maybe if we do this again, I figured we might do this again in the future. That one I'll advertise a little bit more
yeah.
so we can get everything ironed out, like you mentioned.
Well, and I had, honestly, I had kind of mixed feelings about it. Like, part of me was like, you know what, this is kind of going to be a dry run. Like, so Jess and I did 500 subscribers, but it was just her and I, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is kind of a dry run, so maybe I won't push it too much. We can
It was
all
a
kind
learning.
of get the feel for how this works, and and definitely we can circle back later on once we get the kind of all the stuff worked out of this. But then I was like, well, I should let somebody know, or we're all going to just sit here talking to ourselves.
Which is completely fine.
Well,
But
yeah.
you know, maybe if somebody's watching, we should sort of have a clue as to what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get, right?
Yeah.
You
Right.
learn more for next time. Just like with making videos on YouTube, right? Your first videos suck. Like
Oh my God, some
some
of
of
my
my, I don't want to say my first videos actually sucked, but some of my earlier ones, I just leave up there just because I want to document how far I've come, and there's still
yeah,
plenty of
no.
work to be done, right?
Like
There's so
before
many
and
improvements I want to make.
Yeah, no, some of my earlier ones were pretty bad too. And I look back on it, and I mean, I've learned a lot of things on, or I should say relearned a lot of things on editing and stuff like that. And there's still so much more to really actually learn yet.
Oh, yeah. You could have hundreds of thousands. There's channels with over 1 million subscribers, right? That they're constantly trying to better themselves.
Yeah. Well, and and that's the thing with YouTube. I mean, how many other explorers are out there? We're all competing for, having the conversations and getting the subscribers and getting the viewers. So you have to keep moving, and unfortunately, right now it seems really bad. Like, just views and everything across the board are really, they're not
Yeah.
doing well right now, and
I've
I
been
hear
really
that from
down
everywhere.
too. I've been really down too.
Yeah, I mean it's, and I'm even hearing that from some of the Instagram guys have been doing this for years and years and years. Like, the views and things are just really down right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't even begin to speculate on what that could be. Something maybe with YouTube's fancy algorithm. I don't know, man.
we're just in
Probably.
a COVID world, and people are trying to get out, and not actually just look at screens at the moment.
Yeah, that's true too. That's
Well,
a
and I
great
don't
point.
wonder. Yeah, I mean that could have a lot to do with it too. It's people have been cooped up for a very long time, and they're just kind of ready to get out and do some stuff, and they're not watching YouTube right now.
Yeah.
But
The stuff we've been doing all along. They want to see the world, see the country. I
yeah,
mean, we document it.
yeah. I mean it's and it makes it frustrating, but we just got to keep pushing forward and hope that it circles back again.
You do it for the experiences, not the views. You do it because, hey, this place is cool. I want to go check it out.
Yeah,
Maybe somebody who can't go do it themselves would like to see it.
exactly. That's one of my main motivators for starting to shoot video because I used to urbex and explore and visit museums, historical, interesting places all the time. And then it
Mhm.
dawned on me, I love photography. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. This was one of my biggest passions. And there are people who wish they had two legs to get up and have the ability to go and explore and see these different places. And that's kind of what made it click for me to start videotaping, and maybe people would actually want to watch it.
Yeah, I watch videos of other people that are going to places that are further than I'm gonna travel
Yeah,
realistically. So, maybe I'm going somewhere where somebody else on the other side of the country thinks the same thing.
absolutely. It really connects us in a way if you think about it too.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of people, the biggest comment that we get on videos is about, thank you for the history, thank you for telling, the story, um, which it also comes with a lot of grief because, you know, we have the gatekeepers of the urbex community who believe that you shouldn't talk about a place. Um, and don't get me wrong, I completely understand where they're coming from. You talk too much about a place, and it becomes an unfortunate thing because people can't just explore. They have to vandalize, they have to set fires, they have to do all of that. But that was really my big reasoning behind starting the whole channel, was to tell the story. I wanted to let people know, it's really that place's story. I think it has a story to tell, and it should be told. It's just an unfortunate side that you can't really do both, unfortunately. So it becomes a little trying from time to time, but so far we still move forward with telling the story.
Yeah, I mean, I get where they're coming from too, and I get where you're coming from too in a way, but I think telling that story and documenting that history before it's gone, I think the importance of that outweighs these gatekeepers and whatever they're trying to preserve. Because are you really preserving it if you're not documenting it before it disappears and before it's gone? Because it inevitably one day will be gone, right? It
Well, yeah.
inevitably will be vandalized, whether or not you're disseminating that what's inside that location. You don't necessarily have to disseminate where that location is per se, like where an abandoned building is, right? But if you're preserving what's there, like the state it's in, as in like the physical like U.S. state, I don't see an issue with that at all. In fact, I think that's actually preserving the place. That's letting it live on for years and years and decades in the future, right? That video is more than likely still going to be on YouTube, where that building may be demolished, inevitably burned down, vandalized, right? Even if it is still there, years from now, a great example is the Twin Arrows Trading Post in Arizona, right on Route 66, right? Only a matter of a few years ago, that place, it still had the original letters on top, right outside the main entrance, Twin Arrows Trading Post. The inside was in better shape. It wasn't great, but it was better. I was there in 2020, and it looked nothing like 2018, 2017. And that's not because of people going in and taking pictures and preserving what's there, right?
Right.
That's just from people people are going to vandalize, and that's what that is, right? So I never would have known what the place looked like only a mere couple of years before I was there if other people didn't go in before me and document what it was like, right? So it's almost like you're also documenting what a place is like through time.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to do that.
Well, and vandalism is not new.
No, and it will never go away. It will never be. You'll never get rid of it, right? There's places that are totally fenced around that are still getting vandalized. There's if people want to vandalize, people are going to vandalize. That's not because of people like us going in. I can get very passionate about that issue.
So we got
it's not just abandoned places.
So we got a quick question here.
Yeah, I see that. I like that.
Let me throw that up there real quick for you. And if anybody has any questions, please ask.
Please do. I'd love to answer.
For those that are kind of joining currently, having a little bit of problems responding to two comments right now in the chat. It's not that we don't see them. It's just that
I see both of them, and I'd like to chop it up on both of them.
Due to some issues, we can't really respond to them. We'll get better for next time. But yeah, if you want to go ahead, I'll let you answer that question.
This question: what are some of your favorite places? I'm not familiar with your channel, but I'll have to check it out. Well, thank you, Snake. I really appreciate it. I hope you do check it out. Love to have you. Some of my favorite places. So I'll start with probably my most favorite, I guess, kind of scene to be in is probably like a very rural scene, just driving, seeing what I could see, right? There's so many abandoned homesteads, right, in rural Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. So that's probably my favorite scene to be in. And there's just something very bittersweet to me about exploring an old homestead, where a family once happily lived. It was full of energy, and then it's just kind of in a state of Kenopsia, right, where there's just nothing there, and it used to be bustling. Uh, there's just something bittersweet to me about that. And when you find like a little a little clue to the past of what life was once like there, right? Like this one abandoned house in Texas really sticks out to me in particular, right? Actually, Jason knows about this one. It's actually on my channel. It's called Rattlesnake Encounter in Abandoned Texas Farmhouse. So I was in there, right? I actually found an old license plate from 1936. There's absolutely nothing else left in that house. And then I just found that little clue to the past that one, dated the place, and two, it just kind of gave it some character. Like there were people here, right? These people had a car, right? There was living, breathing souls here at a point. And then I went around the back and almost got attacked by a rattlesnake. So that was a
Oh
interesting
yes,
one.
I remember that story. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's on YouTube for all to see. I had to blur out a few choice words, but yeah, I had a real live encounter with a rattlesnake. That was a good one. So then I went around to the other side of that house too, and there was a very old, kind of like not a recliner chair, but just kind of like a big, puffy, old-fashioned chair, just like with its legs broken, laid back, and just a single shoe. And it was just again another clue into the past of who lived there, what it was like, and it's just very overall bittersweet. In terms of probably my favorite singular locations I've been to, I love Route 66 too. I love that part of American history. I love exploring it, driving it. There's so many amazing abandoned places along Route 66, and so I'd say my favorite place that I'd had the pleasure of exploring was the place that ultimately led to me having my most successful video, which was just a very unbecoming gas station right along Route 66 in smack dab in the middle of New Mexico. That place was amazing because at first glance, just looked like absolutely nothing. It was very unremarkable. I was with my dad actually, and I when we drove into town the night before, because we had stayed in that town overnight, I kind of noted it mentally. I was like, "Oh, that's there, but there'll be nothing, right?" So I'm like, "Whatever. I'm not gonna make my dad stop for that." Next morning, as we're driving out, he goes, "Oh, do you want to stop there?" I'm like, whatever, not really." And then he just pulled over anyway. So I was like, "All right, fine." So then I just start shooting the video. I'm like, this was the original Route 66 right here. This is a gas station with its pump still in pristine shape outside because there's low humidity in the desert, not much precipitation, and they were made of aluminum. I'm assuming so. There wasn't much rust, stainless steel, maybe, I don't know. But it was that kind of stuck out to me at first, right? The hoses weren't dry rotted. It was just very preserved. So then I walked towards the entrance, and there was that old Coke machine and the old ice machine, which was also very well preserved, which was also very intriguing to me. And that's when I kind of realized that this place might be a little bit different. So I walked right in the door, which was already blown out. People, when that video blew up, I got a lot of heat for it, saying, "Oh, you broke into this place." Da, da, da. Watch the video. I walk right in the door. It was
No.
it was blown out. There's no glass anywhere. Whatever. So I go in there. There was an old cigarette machine and a candy machine, and it said like 2 nickels and a dime, right? That'd be 25 cents. So that dated the place for a pack of cigarettes too. And people like to always say that that was a candy machine. Yes, that what I showed, as I said, there's a cigarette machine, was a candy machine, but there was a cigarette machine as well. So that clears that up. Then I went into the mechanic shop side of things, and it was just packed with, vintage memorabilia, right? There was a Dairy Queen menu. There was an engine hoist, a bunch of old tires, um, more pumps that were even more preserved, beautifully preserved inside of that place. Just beautiful. And then what was really amazing to me was that I went back around all that stuff to the tool bench, right? There was a workbench with a bunch of tools. I picked up a bunch of old oil cans, and one of them was just completely unopened. One of them was filled with hardware like nuts, bolts, that you would use to work on cars, engines, and whatever you need to work on. And then there was one that actually it was half full with oil still in it. And I was like, that just really goes to show how out there in New Mexico, where it's just so remote, one, people aren't interested in vandalizing what's left behind, but there's just nobody there to vandalize, really. You
Right.
know, they have better things to do, I guess, which is good. But, for the decades that's been sitting there, and I estimate that it closed down at absolute latest, the early 90s, at absolute latest. So at least since then, for over 25 years, close to 30 years now, that oil's just been sitting there half full in that oil can. That's insane to me. Nobody's touched it for
Right.
that long.
That's
And then
awesome.
if you look still, then I went to the right in that video, right towards the end. I didn't notice it at the time, but there were one of the really long incandescent light bulbs that were still on over one of the other workbenches. That there was power still on in that place. It
Wow.
was right at the end of the video when I was going through the license plates that were there, dated. They had license plate decals from the 90s, 1992, I think was the oldest one I saw. Right above that, there was a incandescent light that was still on. So some people had said that meant that there were still people using it, but I mean, everything there was covered in dust. No one was in there
Right.
for at least doing anything for years. And I mean, I forgot to mention this too, but the price of gas on those pumps, I think it was like 30 something cents. It was ridiculous. It was whatever the price of gas was right before the oil shortage in 1974.
That's
So
crazy.
that is really what originally said, one, dated the place to me, and two, kind of made me say in my head, like, this place is going to be special. And for full disclosure, I don't go through a place and plan out what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Like, when you see me videotape a spot, right, that's me seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I know one of the things I don't like to do a ton of research on a place
Yeah.
before going. I don't want to know. I want to form those opinions walking through it the first time. Can we get back to those gas
Yeah,
prices?
I
Yes,
see
that would be
organic
great.
lifestyle.
That would be great.
That's a conversation you and I can have later.
Derelict to Decay as well.
Oh, what's up, man?
Comment
How you
on your
doing?
video. There's some cool guys. I've been out with them a little bit.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they do some cool stuff. I'd like to get out with them as well.
Yeah, I know they lots of really cool power plants.
Yeah, that's
A
their
lot of
thing.
lot of
That's
great industrial stuff.
That's their niche for sure, and they do a great job at it. They really come a long way.
Yeah, no, they do. A couple of people asked the same basic question. I just grabbed this one. People who post clout or gatekeepers.
Clout.
I don't know.
I'm saying clout.
I get it. I do.
That's a very good question, though.
At the end of the day, I try to think that for the most part, explorers, not just people that go into abandoned buildings, but true explorers, we're all after the same thing: the adrenaline of it, the unknown, the want to know. Obviously, we don't do this. This, in my opinion, we don't do this because we've got nothing else better to do. We're doing this because it's something that we want to do. We want to enjoy. We want to see. We want to know the history. So I don't know. I think
I think
the
a
goal.
clout chaser does it for only clout, though, and not for any of those other reasons that you stated.
Well,
They might get some rush from it, but I think that what kind of ticks me off a little bit about the clout chasers is that they really don't care about the preservation of the history, or they could care less about the history behind a place, or just an otherwise underwhelming spot. They could care less about it, right? That just kind of takes when there's so much. There's beauty and there's pretty much beauty everywhere in this country. You just got to look for it. And clout chasers generally don't really understand that, from my experience. Gatekeepers kind of take me off too, because I have a reputation for being very, cognizant of, leaving nothing but footprints, taking nothing but pictures, and yet they still want to gatekeep for whatever reason. So that ticks me off. But
yeah, and I think, the group that I pretty much keep in communication with, you being one of them, and we talk pretty regularly. I think we're all pretty open to it, pretty good about discussing things. But I've seen your work. I've seen a lot of these people's work. They're not out to vandalize. They're out to share the history, share the knowledge.
absolutely, that's what it's about. It's not about clout either, and that's kind of what makes them almost just as bad in a way, is that they're not in it for the right reason.
Well, and none of us own these places. Like, nobody has the rights to any of these places.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, unless you do own the place, sure, then you are being a gatekeeper, but you own the place.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Something we're not supposed to.
That's what makes it fun.
Well, and it's only wrong if you get caught.
It is. Except filming it and putting it on YouTube, then you're guilty no matter what, right?
Yeah. It is what it is. Knock wood, so far, everything has gone pretty well. A couple close calls.
I've actually, well,
I was just going to ask.
By close? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, have you run into any getting caught situations?
Kind of. I would have rather have gotten caught by a property owner or the cops than the situation I had, because I got caught, but it was by a crackhead. It wasn't by the cops or anything.
So our closest is a security guy who ended up driving us back to the car.
Oh, there you go. He was nice about it, but
good at talking to people.
I actually think I should probably go. People would probably want to hear this story. So when I got caught, it was actually in the region you were mentioning before, Jason, right across the border from Pennsylvania, or a stone's throw from West Virginia. I was just barely in Ohio, across the river from West Virginia. This was in 2019, right? I was with my buddy and two locals of the area, and they were showing us an abandoned paper mill, I believe it was. We were there at like 1:30 in the morning too, which was, probably not the smartest thing looking back in retrospect. But right, I wasn't filming at the time. I just wanted to go there and take long exposures of the place on my camera, which came out like crap anyways. So whatever. But so we get there. There's just like the place is in the process of being demolished, so there were piles of like concrete just like spread out, not everywhere, but every so often. And there was like a little hole in the fence that like we just walked right through. We parked our car on like it was a riverbank, actually. The river was right there. We parked our car on like a little pull off. There was the road, and then the power plant. Just huge power plant. I'm thinking derelict of decay. No, huge paper mill. So I walk in there. It's the four of us, my friend and I, two of them. We're in there. We're like, where do we go? What do we do? As we're figuring this out, right? Car drives up the road once, right? I'm like, the locals were like, that's weird. Like, no one should, because it was a small town. They were like, no one should be driving up this road right now. I'm like, all right, whatever, we'll see. A minute later, this car comes back this way, down the other way. So I was like, okay, this is I'm gonna pay less attention out of the building and more attention to this. Car comes back now a third time, so it's the second time driving in this direction. And then there was another little like pull off where I could see it from where I was inside of the complex. This complex was absolutely huge, mind you, too. So it turns around, right, in this little pull off, turns its lights off, and starts driving back towards where we entered the complex, and we all looked at each other. I'm like, all right, that is not good. that is not good. So I say to my friend, I was like, where do we go? This complex, I mean, it's a dumb question. Where do we go? This complex was probably like, 5 or 10 acres big. It was huge, right? But there was just nowhere to hide because there was just so much open space. So there was like a little pile of concrete and like a weed coming out of the ground that was just like one of those like little, I don't know what they're called, like walnut trees or something. Just regular like weed. And I'm 6'1", right? So I'm a big guy. I can't hide behind that. So this car stops right at the entrance, and then as soon as we see it stop, we all like look at each other. We're like, all right, just like go, like dip, like find out where we gotta like just get out of sight. So like my friend like is like crouching behind like 2 pieces of concrete, and I'm behind this little like weed, and I look over and I see this old up like beat up like Honda whatever it was like sedan, like all 4 doors just like open up, or 3 of the 4 doors. The driver's door didn't open. They had a getaway driver. They just open up. They're out. They have hoods up, hands in their pockets, right? Like on a mission, just bolting into this entrance. And we're all looking around. We're like, this is not about to happen to me right now. Like this is not how I'm gonna disappear, right? If I'm gonna do that, it's gonna be on my own terms. So I was just like silent. I was just praying to God. I was like, okay, just like get this over with. Like I can't believe this is happening to me right now. Like what the hell? So they come. I was holding out hope that they would like make a right or left turn. Nope, they just came right in the gate, and then walked like right in between my friend and I, who were like basically next to each other, and the 2 locals were probably 15 feet directly across from us. They walked right between us. Not a single. They didn't detect us at all. Not a single clue. So I guess we did a good job of keeping quiet. But like, it was like slow motion, man. Like seeing them like black hoodies, black sweatpants, right? Like hoods up, just like walking like this, like on a mission, right? Like just speeding through this entrance, just right into the complex. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly where they were going. So we gave it like a minute. We looked at each other. We said, bolt the F out of here. We just bolted to our car. I never ran so fast in my life. So we got in, right? Like the doors open, like as the ignition's starting up, and like we're cars in drive and the car doors still open. Yeah, we got out of there real quick. So that's the only real time I've been caught. So I've been pretty good at laying low other than that.
So yeah, we got caught by security once, but um, ironically, I have sort of a funny kind of people showing up, except we were the ones showing up. So I was actually with Derelict to Decay, and we were doing a power plant. So we're trying to get in, and all that's there to get in, well, all that was there to get in when you don't want to climb things was the there was the scrappers had actually cut out a section of the steel overhead door. So we're going in as the scrappers are trying to come out.
Oh,
And like um, literally ran into each other going in. And yes, Derelict TA says we don't discriminate small or large plants.
whatever
So
works, man.
that's it. So yeah,
Whatever floats your
that
boat.
was definitely that was interesting. That was the first time I'd actually been anywhere that there was like serious scrapping activity going on. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, there was absolutely no care in the world how much noise they were making
Which
whatsoever.
brings me to the point I wanted to make too about my experience, because I run the possibility through my head, right? Maybe they were scrappers, but right, this was pushing 2 o'clock in the morning at the time, right? They were walking in there with a purpose. They had a getaway driver, and it was a small like Honda Civic, right? What are you
They weren't
scrapping
taking much,
that you're gonna fit into a Honda Civic, right? So
right?
I knew right
Pretty
away.
big
I was like, this was kind of sketchy. Like they weren't there to scrap. That's all I know. It was 1:30 in the morning. How they were dressed, right? They didn't have tools with them. They were in
Yeah.
a Honda Civic, right? There's no chance they were scrapping.
There
I
was
didn't want to know what they were doing, but I got the hell out of there real quick. So I was
yeah
like,
there was
because that area is so I hate to say it's sketchy, but it's kind of sketchy. It's economically depressed. There's a lot of crime. So I was like, yeah,
Well,
I ain't going to find out.
they knew something was there and they were specifically going for it.
Yes, with how they were walking, that's exactly what I was trying to get at too. I mean,
And
they
whatever it
knew
was, it
where they
wasn't
were
big.
going, and they were familiar with
Somebody
that
snapped
huge
up from here,
complex. So
they were
they've been to that complex before, and I guess you could fit a body in the back of a Honda Civic, man. I mean, I don't know, but I wasn't staying to find out.
Well,
Yeah.
Jess, can you fit a body in the back of a Honda Civic?
Oh yeah, you definitely could.
There you go. There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
You just can't do it when you have subs and stuff in the trunk. You gotta take all that out first.
Well, there was 4 of us too, so there would have been 1 body in there, as far as I know. Could have been 2. Then they would have 4 of us to, bind up and throw in the back there. So maybe a couple of us would have been lucky. It's funny you say that, Derelict to Decay. I had my tripod, and my friend had his tripod ready to all collapse and ready to go, ready to just use it as a ramrod as we could. I was like, I'm not beating up my camera on no one, but I'll jam that right up in there if I got to.
No, thankfully, I've not been into any situation like that yet.
It's inevitable, man. I don't want to scare you, but it's
Oh, I know.
long enough.
I mean, there was. I've been into some interesting parts of New Jersey. Let me put it to you that way. And
I'm from New Jersey, brother.
so the worst one ever was. And sorry, anyone lives in Camden, but Camden was by far the worst.
Dude, I wouldn't even go to Camden. I'm from here, like I said.
So
chance.
I did a factory in Camden, where it was the first time ever I was like, we have got to do this quick. My car is not going to be here very long. Like, we need to do this now. That was probably by far. Newark didn't bother me too much. Trenton didn't bother me too much, but Camden was, yeah.
I try to
Camden
stay
was
away
rough.
even from Newark and Trenton too, so I can't even imagine Camden. I've only been a couple of times, and it wasn't anything for Urbex. It was basically just a drive-through, and I had to play there once for something. So, yeah, no thanks.
Well, that's a
little concerning.
Yeah, carrying a metal pipe around with you. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't know about
guess.
that one. I don't know about that one, Chief.
I mean, you do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Oh, you carried. Okay, I thought the scrapper was carrying a metal pipe. Hey, no, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, every man for himself in that situation.
Well, and that was, these are the things like I would love to do, like Detroit, but
me too. Baltimore.
I mean, that was
there's 16,000 row houses in Baltimore that I'd love to explore even some of them.
But that was stuff even years ago. Like, Detroit had gotten so bad. There were stories of the old school urbexers, having their gear stolen, and like it had gotten so bad there that it really it wasn't worth it anymore.
It's not, because all the places worth going to are pretty much documented, and it's not like you're going to be doing anything revolutionary too. It's not worth getting your shit swiped or killed. And I mean, that's a lot of them. A lot of those kinds of buildings, like, they're just hubs of gang and criminal activity, right? There's not even much to see. Especially going in with a camera too. Like, if you run into some of them, they're gonna think you're with the cops or something, and if they find out you're not, right, they're gonna silence the only witness and destroy your camera. So,
right.
No thanks.
Well, according to Ben and Sam, that's number 4 on your stop list.
Be careful. Gary, Indiana. Yeah, I don't know about that one either. That's headed up that way.
Yeah, that was long on my list too. It's not very common. Thankfully, it's not very common, but to literally find entire cities that are essentially abandoned.
Detroit's one of them.
Yeah,
Gary was one of them.
Gary's one of them.
Gary's coming up again, though. It's on the up and rise.
But yeah, I mean, those were some of the, I wanted to spend some time there, but who knows?
Yeah. Ben and
No.
Sam, nice. Gary's number 3, cool. I might have to
That's it.
drop a sub for you guys. See all that content coming out. Flint too, yeah, that's up that way for sure.
Let's see.
I'd rather, if I'm going to go to Michigan, I'd rather go to like the Panhandle and explore some of the beauty there. And I'm sure there's the Panhandle, the Upper Peninsula. I'm sorry, I'm sure there's some beauty up there too, and some cool abandoned places. I'll probably pass on Detroit and Flint, but I'll just go to say I went. It's probably won't
There
feel
you go.
much.
So, would you ever explore outside of the U.S.? I know I would.
Oh, it's actually funny you say that too. One Sabes and I were actually just talking about this before the live stream, thinking of getting a group together and potentially doing a European trip. Your little, I know Chernobyl is always like a dream explore for me.
Oh,
That would be
I would love
fantastic.
to.
I'd go in a second. But if I'm going, I may as well, see other countries, other places. There's so many abandoned tanks just everywhere, so much World War II history. Without a doubt, Forgotten USA would definitely do a season
Forgotten
abroad.
World.
Forgotten World. Yeah, I was actually thinking that too. Like if and when it's going to happen at some point. Just I don't know when. I would so be down to get a group together and go and plan that out and do that, and it'll be like the Forgotten World season. Forgotten USA turned Forgotten World.
That's it. I do want to also, because I saw a couple of comments in here. Shout out to Helen there. Super big supporter of ours. Thank you so much. Did Chernobyl in 2021? Yeah, I mean, Chernobyl, like.
Yeah, I figured.
Radiation, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Mutant creatures running around. I mean, I mean,
it can't be any worse than the asbestos and everything else, so it's fine. No. I'm not worried about it.
No,
not worried
my
about
asthma's already so much worse from doing this, so it is what it is.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I'm just fascinated with the country and the diversity of the beauty this country has and its geographic diversity. That's kind of why I, like to focus on USA, and that's why I have USA in my name. But by no means is that going to restrict the type of content that I put on here. I mean, yeah, it's obviously mostly going to be in this country, but it's not going to. It's not like a hardline rule where it's only going to be USA. No, I intend on going international at some point.
Yeah, I'd like to. I just sitting here realizing, looking at the screen. So our logo's in the top corner, but I so could have dropped yours in. I don't know why I could do that, but I actually have done that. Oh wait, that's right. I do know why I have it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they want to, they could just type in Forgotten USA on YouTube and find me that way, or type in abandoned gas station, and my video is the first one that comes up, the one in New Mexico.
Nice. Yeah. I forget there is something you can search and ours comes up first, but I forget what it is off the top of my head. Probably abandoned Pittsburgh, because that video just keeps getting views.
Nice. My first video was in Pittsburgh, or near Pittsburgh. It was that one of the old. They would paint steel at that factory or at that warehouse. It was like a steel painting facility.
Okay.
So called it abandoned steel factory in Pittsburgh, and it did pretty well. Actually, we kind of got caught there too. Actually, now that I remember that, right at the beginning of the video, cop rolled up. He's like, "What y'all doing?" We're like, "Just taking pictures." He's like, "Oh, nice. I came down here to take a piss. Just don't do graffiti. See ya." And he left. That was it. So nice. It's kind of unremarkable.
No, it's this goofy. I shouldn't say it's a goofy video. It was this.
You didn't want to do it, and I talked you into it.
So we choose not this past December, but December before that. Jess and I took like a 2-day road trip. We did like a bunch of Pittsburgh. That's how we ended up in Ohio and did kind of that area.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So I had all these like clips of things that really didn't warrant making a video. So I just kind of pieced them together, and I think the video was titled like "Abandoned Around Pittsburgh."
Abandoned Pittsburgh, yeah. I saw it earlier actually, because I was looking at the channel.
It still gets like a couple hundred views every month.
Nice.
And it was a kind of an off-the-cuff video. There wasn't really, anything to it, but yet every month it's still getting views. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like we even talked about this before too. I feel like it's the videos that you expect to do the worst in a way, or that you don't expect to be anything special, or the ones that end up doing the best. Like the gas station video, right? I expected that place to be nothing when I first rolled
Yeah.
up to it, and then I went inside and published the video and had a great thumbnail for it, and thought of a great title, and sure as anything, everything fell into place with it.
Yeah, no, it is crazy how and then the videos you spend all this time on and all this energy on,
Right.
and really
It's like
work
10
through it.
views a month.
Yeah, and they're the ones that no, they don't suck.
What
Why
are you
would you say your
talking
videos?
about?
Yeah.
I love the cinematic
Oh,
shots y'all got.
but yeah, the ones that you spend all the time on, they're the ones that are like, oh, that didn't do anything. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know, man. With how this algorithm works now, you never know.
Yeah,
But I love. I don't know if you guys still do them anymore, really. But the Derelict to Decay, I love the narrations that you guys did. Very cinematic and professional looking. And I actually looked to it for some inspiration with some things too. So I like it. So don't say they suck. Stop that.
who gets permission for places?
Yeah, what? Well, I mean, if we want to go to Mechanicsburg, we're gonna have to.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
No.
I ain't saying nothing else.
I know what you're talking about.
You can't be on video. My son ran outside, and he's not allowed on video.
Oh, I was gonna say that. Yes, okay, I get it now. I'm like, why? It's not a big deal. Who cares?
I understand, but
No, I know.
His picture's not even on Facebook or anything. We've never posted anything. When he's old enough to make his own decisions, that's up to him. And I think he will come exploring when he's older, but obviously that's not anytime soon.
No, I remember that now. After the fact, I'm like, now I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, did I miss something? But yeah,
no, I finally remembered. Yeah, no, the Mechanicsburg thing. Yeah, no, I know what we're talking about.
We might get in there one day. I'm just not.
One day.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. That's like the ultimate gatekeeper there. That dude.
Like literally in my backyard too.
Really?
Makes it worse.
No, you know what's in your backyard? You know what's in your backyard?
Oh yes.
That place. But
another one that if yeah, it's
just
not
need permission to get in.
Yeah.
This is the off the beaten path of Pennsylvania. They say hello with guns. So
Oh yeah. I'm very familiar with rural Pennsylvania.
People watch trail cams and the cops are like 3 minutes away, like the police station.
Yeah, it's
not worth it.
I didn't think they called the police out there. I thought they just took care of business with their sidearm and just
They probably do, but I mean they also think Trump's still president, so there's that.
A kid fell and killed him and died. So that's why they watch it so much. So, but it's a huge tower.
Yeah, it's.
I pass it every day on my way to work.
I'll send you a link to it. It's a crazy story.
Yeah. I might know what you're talking about, but send me that link. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy story.
So I'd actually be curious, Derelict to Decay, send me a message after this. How do you go about getting permission like that if you do it pretty regularly? Because in case I have to do it, at some point, and I actually have a few places in mind where I might need to do that. So I'd be interested to know how you guys kind of go about that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any other questions?
I'm here, so drop them.
As I know, Jess has got little ones to take care of, and
I'm also outside, so daylight's gonna go away for me pretty soon.
Yeah.
It is like totally dark for me here, so I don't know.
I actually was thinking, like, how do you still have so much light? It feels very dark where I'm at now.
You realize in the country, there's not buildings and stuff in the way. Like, there's literally just the sky.
I guess.
I have choice. I'll have choice words for you after this stream too.
I should have gone down by I didn't realize I'm going to have to do this off of my phone, my hotspot. I could have done this right in front of the cows as the background. That would have been funny.
That's cool.
But no, like it looks like still like daylight out by you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What what are the most
Yeah.
interesting things you found while exploring? Well, for me, that had to be the coffin.
Oof.
Yeah. So part of the Pittsburgh trip, we did a funeral home, and we got down to the basement, and we're walking through, and then all of a sudden there was this like rusty casket sitting there. Now, after the fact, I had come to learn that by this point, the funeral home was shut down due to some unsafe practices. So the state authorities had been through the place and looked at everything. But when you don't know that initially, to come around the corner in a dark basement in an abandoned funeral home, and there's a casket,
Yeah.
was like, and of course,
No thanks.
Jess is like, well, you're not going to open it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to open it. But the
Don't
weirdest thing
videotape
about it,
it.
I'm going to videotape it.
No,
The
don't
weirdest,
videotape it.
the weirdest part about it was, and other people have mentioned it too, there is no visible signs of it opening. Like it's sealed. And a couple other people have mentioned, like that I've talked to, have mentioned it. So I don't really know what the story is, but most recently I've seen photos. It's moving around the property too.
So like it kind of just shows up in different
Yeah,
areas in the
yeah.
property.
Who
So,
thinks, oh, let's move this?
so
I'm
the
like,
last photos I saw of it, Jess, if you remember, like when we walked beyond it, like there was that room where the hearse would drive into. It's
Mhm.
there now. That's where it is.
Gotcha.
Was the last photos I saw. So it tends to move around a
Well,
bit.
I wonder if the floor lift still works and somebody could like put it upstairs,
That would be interesting.
right?
It's just interesting that it moved at all. Like, it's kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah. Like every time I see it in photos, it's in a different spot.
I've heard
Yeah.
there's actually a few mausoleums in this area that I was actually kind of intrigued by, but I don't think I'd want to go alone.
So I did the small one. When I say small, it is super small. It is up like the 209 quarter, or what they can consider the coal region of Pennsylvania. It's up in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't 100% remember where it is. I don't think I ever did anything with the video. That's how small it is. But there's that one, I can't think of the name of it. It's not here in PA. That's like in the, like you go into the mountain and it's like down in the mountain. That's really big. But I want to say it's like in Tennessee or something like that. That I've seen a couple of videos on.
Huh. I was just in Tennessee, so that would have been. I didn't know that. That would have been cool.
I could be completely off. It could be like in Georgia for all I know.
Because I know there was one that actually still like had coffins in it, and it was just totally abandoned. I mean, some of them had like blood and embalming fluid coming out of it. So I don't know about that one.
Well, and I think that's the story with most of this stuff. It's finances disappear, and these people just disappear, and they leave people's loved ones behind, and it's and it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's really sad.
That was a lot of the story of really the whole Pittsburgh one, was that he got caught. Well, he knew he was about to get caught, so he basically packed his wife, his kids up in a car and disappeared one night.
Yeah, and like the living quarters where they were upstairs still had almost everything in it.
And people, people's loved ones were left behind, and it was a lot of fighting to, get things taken care of, and even unfortunately, money had been paid, and the guy just disappeared. And it's sad. It really is, because it's one thing that the school district closes down a school, and that's sad too for the community. But it's not someone's loved one that's on the line here.
Yeah, that's just sitting there, with total degradation for human life. I don't like that at all.
Well, I
You want to
think
pop that one
I
up?
think I think um, I think this is probably a good question to kind of wrap
Yeah.
this up with.
I actually got to answer the other one first too about the most interesting thing I found. It's got to be
Oh,
the tank that I found.
oh,
I
the the one that photo's been around for a while? Just the single tank in the
Yeah, it's just a
building.
single tank in that warehouse, right? Otherwise, it's an unremarkable warehouse, right? It's a huge complex. It used to be a plastic factory. There's a really old cemetery smack dab in the middle of it, right? So that's unique in and of itself too. But that's far from the the most interesting thing about the place. You get up to the third floor in it, and then you turn the corner, and there's just a tank sitting right there. Like technically, it's an armored car. I was corrected on it by the YouTube police. It's an armored car, but it's a French armored car, and it's in a warehouse in New Jersey on the third floor. So I don't know how it got there.
Listen, it's got a big gun coming out the front. It's a tank.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, right. I see that. I'm
it's a
like, that's a
tank.
tank. Thank you.
Although, yes, I did. I don't know if you saw some of them, but I did see some of Derelict of the Cave's photos. They found a whole lot of tanks.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, just but there's something like a little bit more mysterious about just one in a warehouse
Right.
where there's just nothing else. I mean, there
It's
was
there, and how did it get there?
yeah, right. On like the first floor, there was like a really old beat up car. It's right at the beginning of that video. The video's on my channel. It's called "We Found a Tank in an Abandoned Warehouse" or something like that. And the thumbnail is just the tank. Beginning of the video, right? There's just like a really old beat up car, just totally stripped of everything. No engine inside, no nothing. Then there's in one of the other rooms, there's a whole bunch of Rolls Royce engines, which was interesting. Someone commented on that video and said that those tanks or armored cars actually ran on those engines, but I couldn't verify that yet. And then you get to the third floor and there's just that tank and then like a whole mechanic shop basically for tanks, right? So like all these tools, like I think there might have been a couple engines there or something. It was just very random, very odd.
Is there a big elevator for them to get up there? Like it's so great.
I even said that in the video. I was like, "There's no elevator or anything that you know," and this is the third floor. I don't know how it would get up here unless someone took the time to meticulously disassemble this thing, meticulously carry everything up. All these flights of stairs through this meander through the whole warehouse to get to this. It's literally the last room too, like in the corner. So I don't know how that happened. One of the mysteries of Urbex.
Yes.
So then what Explorer got me hooked on Urbex? So it's definitely been something I've always been interested in for sure. Back in high school days, my friends and I would always like to get a good spook in, go and, we were all into photography. Some were into photography more than others, some were into the history more than others, right? I was into the history more than the other two. One was into photography a little bit more than me. I kind of wanted to incorporate a video aspect, right? So in my town, there was an old Superfund site, and place was huge, right? And there was an office building that was adjacent to it, right? So this place was absolutely huge, super creepy to go at night. You would like hear noises and everything. The place caught on fire a bunch. I even heard that like satanic worshippers used the place years ago. So it was just very creepy place. So I went, you know, that was really my first big explorer. Again, we used to like to do things late at night. It was like 1:30, 2 in the morning, and that was it. We went in there, and that was the first one. And I was like, for as creepy as this is, I love it. And that was kind of the first one. And that video is actually on my channel too. I pulled it out from the archives and just figured I'd throw it up there again to kind of document progress. But I mean, that's from like early 2017, late 2016, that video. So it's just kind of thrown in there randomly with everything else. But there's some cool stuff to see, right? There was like an elevator shaft where like the elevators on the bottom floor. You could look down, you could look up, and then just junk everywhere pretty much. But the rest of those guys basically they kind of don't have as much interest in it as me anymore. I mean, they're still interested in it, but they don't really explore as much, as me anymore. They don't have a YouTube aspect. They just kind of have, and it's nothing against them. It's just what their interests are. It's kind of, we had different kind of goals for this. I kind of wanted to make this more of a hobby side thing, and they kind of wanted to just post some, Instagram pictures every now and then, which is fine. We just kind of grew differently in that regard.
No, that so mine. I mean, I got into this at a very, very, very young age. There was our third, fourth video. Was the brewery here in town, and I've been. I mean, it's been closed. That brewery's been closed since as long as I can remember. At a very young age, I was always, always fascinated by it. Wanted to get into it, explore it, and I mean, took me 30 some years to do it, but I did it. Was not my first. Probably wasn't even really the place that got me really into exploring. Um, but I think that seed of exploring was planted way, way back. You know, we're talking early teens. Um, my first, my first ever, my first ever was when I was living out in Central PA. Guy that I used to work with, he was into the paranormal investigation, which I'm not. I'm not a disbeliever. I'm not a believer. I just kind of go down the middle with that. But he wanted to check out the. There was used to be used by the county courthouse as an annex building until they added on, but it was many things well before that. So he wanted to go in and investigate for paranormal activity. I'm like, yes, I will go. I have no interest in ghosts, but I will go. And unfortunately, I long since lost those photos. But that was that was probably, my first real explore. What kind of got me, um, that taste of it. Um, and it took many, many years to really get where I am or where we are now, putting out, a video almost every 2 weeks and trying to grow the channel and the whole thing. But it was, once I think if you're really going to do this and you're really passionate about it, once you kind of get that first one down, um, and I think Jess can agree with me because when we decided we were only going to start, we were going to go once a month. We were going to shoot some photos. About 3 weeks later, that turned into let's go every weekend, and we're going to start a YouTube channel. So let's buy some stuff.
Yes.
And then unfortunately, COVID hit, and things changed for Jess. And oh my God,
Yeah.
it's what, over a year now since you've been out?
Probably. I lost like all of my employees and have to work all the time. And then we had a second baby. So life is definitely way more than I would like any free time. But hopefully that'll calm down soon. The baby's now 6 months, so I should be able to sneak away on occasion soon.
Get back out there a little bit.
The problem also is we live 2 hours apart, so finding places to go together sometimes is hard.
But yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
that's not close for sure. I
Yeah,
know,
no.
like what that it's now a super fun site. I was saying the first place I ever went into, there was like some apprehension at first too, right? Like we'd go onto the property, then we'd kind of go away, we'd get sketched out, get a little closer, go away, get sketched out, we'd go to the door, we'd be like, yeah, screw this, and then back out, and finally go in, just tiptoe in a little bit. That's kind of
So
how it went at first.
what was always great I mean, I've gotten over it now because I've done it for so long, but when we first started doing this, Jess was like I don't give a shit, let's just go. And I'm like, no, I don't think we should do that. This doesn't seem right. So we were kind of, we kind of worked together as that perfect, like, we're not going to go off the deep end, but we're going to get some places. And it worked. It actually worked really well. Because I was the apprehensive one originally. Like, yeah,
You
there's
would
too many
reach
cars around here. I'm not going.
when we got
Yeah.
there. You'd be finding the place, but when we actually physically got somewhere, I'd be the one walking up to every door. Or, oh, this gate doesn't want to open. Let me just shake it a little, and oh, it popped off. Oops.
Yeah, like
Like,
the school that was half being torn down, and I'm like, well, so much for this place. We kind of missed it, and you're like, well, let's just hop this little fence here, and away we go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh, okay, well, guess we're gonna do it.
I'm like, if you're gonna follow me or not. So
Yep, yep.
I'm kind of in the middle between you guys, right? Like I can definitely be apprehensive, at least when I feel it's appropriate, but then I can also kind of be pretty inquisitive and kind of take some
Just
risks
go.
sometimes too. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for doing this with us.
Pleasure.
It
Thank you
was
for
it was
asking me.
it was definitely a lot of fun. Um, Once we get more into the swing of this and things go well, we'll definitely have you back on.
Please, I'd love to.
I think Jess is about to be in the dark,
yep, I'm probably losing daylight.
and yeah. So again,
Looks fine on the screen. I mean,
yeah, no, it still looks good. Looks good. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone that joined us tonight. We will. I have to admit I don't know who's going to be the end of next month, but I do have someone already lined up for the end of next month. We're going to try to do this the last Monday of each month, barring it being any holiday or anything like that. But we'll be here 8 o'clock last Monday of every month.
cool. I'll be here whether I'm on or not. I'll be tuning in, listening, see what other people have to say. So
Sounds
thank you
good.
again for the invite. This was a lot of fun.
Of course. Definitely check out Forgotten USA, YouTube, Instagram,
Facebook too.
Facebook.
Please subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram, follow on Facebook, like on Facebook. Please, all that. Really appreciate it.
Um,
Helps a lot.
no bird, no tweeting of the tweets.
Not yet. Not yet. No.
Yeah, I don't do much with our Twitter either.
I don't really see the benefit of it yet. So I'm just trying to go to the YouTube.
I
It's the
just
biggest
kind of
thing.
went like I
Same.
basically went everywhere and locked everything I possibly could in. Like I have our name on Patreon already that I don't know if we'll ever use.
That should be the goal is to use that. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah. So I just went through and like anything that I could think of that might be worthwhile, I just locked our name
yeah.
in before somebody else, which is ironic because I did just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. There is another YouTube channel that is like so very close, but I forget they don't end in A, I think they end in C.
Yeah, I think it
And
might be.
and so like somehow we ran it. I'm like, wait, that's me. And he's like, wait, no, that's me. So yeah, so it's like never too early to lock in all of your stuff. But
Reddit's
yes,
interesting.
I have been
Yeah.
seeing a couple of people have told me Reddit is the place to be. I am actually considering right now. I post to Reddit, but it's under my personal account. I didn't really think much of it, but I
Yeah, I'm
think
the
I am gonna.
same way. I don't know if there's really a benefit of making a brand
No,
account for Reddit because
so
I'm just a fly on the wall on Reddit. I just read threads, and it's usually not thread at Ancora, and it's usually not even about
from
urbex.
what I Derelict at Decay, they actually he told me Reddit's been really kind of picking up recently.
Okay.
He put up a couple posts that had like over 1,000 upvotes. I'm
Hmm.
like, well, I guess I better start working on Reddit.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, I need to register
if you could
the
find a way to kind of lead that right into your YouTube and Facebook, then that would be great. TikTok's another one too. I know you have a TikTok and it does pretty
yeah,
well. I
yep.
have a TikTok. I have not posted anything on it. It's just there. I got to figure out how to get that going. But follow me on
I
TikTok too. I'll
I try
promise
to
I'll
re-
start doing stuff.
I try to remember to shoot a couple of little clips on my phone for TikTok, but it's so hard to remember. Like,
Yeah.
um, it wasn't bad when Jess was going out because she was doing photos, I was doing videos, and I could grab these little things. But now I'm doing video photos, grabbing the little stuff for the norm, the TikTok stuff, the usually like I'll usually throw up a photo after an explore on Instagram, so grabbing that on my phone, it just becomes a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, Reddit's I don't think it's moved a whole lot of traffic to YouTube yet, but I've had some posts that have done pretty good.
Cool.
But
It's good to
again,
know.
thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back in a month from now. And Jess is about to disappear.
Exactly. Okay. Nick of time.
See you
That's
soon.
it. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. Have a great night, and we'll
You
see
too.
you next month.
Bye.
Bye.